In this episode of NRL Fantasy School, we're just coming into the start of round two. Actually, we've just started round two last night. The time I'm recording this, it's Friday afternoon. And what I'm going to be doing in this episode is having a look at a few different teams and talking about the sort of moves you should be making and also the sort of moves you definitely shouldn't be making in this particular round. So what we're actually going to do is use some of the actual teams from NRL Fantasy Talk without the trolls, just to, you know, keep things a bit real. So 07CALDZ, we'll start with that one. Riley Caldwell. Okay. We're going to be doing all of this via NRL Fantasy Pro, of course, which is an extremely powerful weapon. If you want to use it, fantastic. It'll certainly add completely different dimensions to your NRL fantasy experience. If you don't want to use it, that's fine. The same principles we're going to go through today still apply one way or another anyway. So what I'm going to do is let's have a look at this team first up. So I'm going to pull it up in our teams analyzer, and the name was 07CLDZ. There it is. Okay, so having a look at his round one, he captained Haas, Trey Mooney, Angus Crichton, Hillam Lukey, Dylan Brown, Nathan Cleary, Tom Chester, Panasini, Farlogo, Walsh to Tino, David Fafita, Daniel Atkinson, Bailey Hayward. In non-playing reserves, Macassini, Sanders, Lasati, and Leo. Okay, and he had an auto emergency of Bailey Hayward for the round. So that probably could have been quite a bit better given there was 74 and 74 down there from a 80-minute edge in Lasati. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do now is pull this team up in our best buys list, which I can actually sync to this team. I'm always slower when I'm actually recording something like this and having to think about what I'm doing. When I'm in autopilot, I think it's going to be a lot quicker. Now, what we can do in our weapon of a platform is actually look up a team, and from there we can sync our reports to looking just at these players or not looking at those players or looking at everybody. So I'm going to actually have a look at this team from our best buys projected value page and filtered to only the players in the team. Get rid of the side menu for a minute. And what this does, it gives us a very, very good look at the health of the squad. So down the right here, we have our 12 round projected peak price profit. So we have the 12 round projected min price, 12 round projected peak price. This far column is the 12 round peak price difference. So over the next 12 weeks, our projections have um, Lukey's peak price being 363k more than what he's currently priced at. And that comes to a 12 round projection of 57 points. So there's lots of value there. There's good value through here, starting to get a little bit thinner through the orange. So Daniel Atkinson has about 113k in him, we think. Will Penasini, less. Farlongo, less. Moses Leo, we have him as having about 75k more. Okay, down the bottom, let's have a look down the bottom. Blake Brayley, well, we don't have any value in him at all, but he's a strategic choice as a, save 50 points at hooker. Bailey Haywood, Bailey Haywood, we were down on. We didn't think the value was, there was a whole lot of value there. We'll have to wait and see. Payne Haas, Tino, Angus, Nathan Cleary. Okay, so what we can see here from looking at our team this way is where we're possibly missing out on a bit of value. So especially with these non-keeper players around Will Penasini, for example, and Will Penasini's out for this round as well, which would really kind of make him a contender for a player that we could consider trading out for a better option. So if we now exclude this team, then we're going to get a snapshot of who some of the better buys are. So at the moment, Noah Martin, we've still got plenty of value showing in him, Arama Howe, Ryan Couchman. Okay. So there's a really strong shopping list of players you can consider. Now, one thing that I want to really flag is strong fantasy players are looking for a good 150k or so potential profit in a trade to actually justify using a trade. You don't have enough trades to jump on every opportunity. So you want the opportunities you do jump on to count. So keep that figure in mind of about 150k profit you're expecting from the trade. Now that has to also take into account the profit you're trading out. So if we're going to trade out Will Penasini, well, he's got, according to our numbers, about 84k value in him. So we would want to be getting a player that has about 230k value in them to be getting 150k value out of using that trade. So definitely he would be one that we could consider for the likes of a Noah Martin or a Rama Howe. Below those two, it's getting a little bit kind of thin on the value we're getting from using the trade. Okay, this team isn't actually in too bad shape. Um, they're kind of really out there as far as the rankings go for the round, but the team itself doesn't look, doesn't look to have any massive issues in it. Probably could have gone for a little bit more value. It's gone a little bit gun heavy, so you're getting Cleary at cost plus Haas at cost, which is okay. But then you're getting Angus Crichton very much kind of at cost. Tino very much at cost. Um, Blake Brayley very much at cost. Bailey Hayward, we don't think was probably the best value choice. So that's probably the one thing that's kind of keeping him a little bit in check there. Let's have a look at some. Let's see who else we've got here. Shut up. Let's have a look at you. Here we go. Rank 11,000 at the moment. Okay. So down here, Sakuru. Okay, so that's a player that's not even active. Then we've got Kyle Iro. Looks very much to be at cost, maybe even slightly overpriced. Herbie Farnworth, very much at cost. Blake Brayley, very much at cost. Okay. We're starting to get a little bit more value up through here. Okay, and we've got very strong value up here. So one thing I would certainly pick out with this team is you cannot afford to have Deadwood in your team. So Sakura this round has to be, you really have to be trading that guy out this week. Now, the reason why the urgency is when you look at your, let me just open fantasy for a moment. Okay, a lot of people tend to really underestimate the importance of these bottom bench spots. Okay. They're actually some of the most crucial spots on your roster because these four spots are where you're making your money to later inject into your scoring 17. If you're not making good money here, then what a lot of players are doing is making bugger all here, and all of their moves then are happening inside their top 17 players, and they really just kind of keep cannibalizing their squad and are not getting a lot of progress made. Now, think of these four spots as four investment accounts. If you burn one of those, then you've straight away burnt 25% of your revenue generation that you have to make to inject into your top 17. So it's very, very important that the players down here are fantasy relevant. Fantasy relevant means they're playing weekly, and not only are they playing weekly, but they're scoring enough to be making significant money. Now, again, significant money, the people that have played this game for a long time, that are veterans at it, we consider significant money to be a good 10 points of value. So that's like 130k up, preferably like 150k is the sort of value we're targeting from making out of these players. You're not going to get that with a guy like Cooper Bye, who's only getting like 25, 30 minutes off the bench because he's not getting enough game time to be averaging, in the 30s to make that money. Okay. So you want to be very careful that you do not having New South Wales and Queensland Cup players around here. Also, that you're not getting fringe forwards that aren't going to get the minutes to do anything significant. Okay. Now, not only is this crucial as far as revenue generation goes, but it's also crucial as far as your depth goes. You've only got four extra players to cope with players on buys. So, for instance, I've got Carraz on a buy this week, plays suspended or injured. Well, I've got Carraz on a buy and I've got Hopgood suspended. So that takes my 21 available players down to 19. If you're carrying Deadwood in here, you can very, very quickly get yourself into a situation where week after week you're being forced to make trades every time a player has a buy, a couple of players have a buy, or a player suspended for 1 week. Okay, and that just will absolutely torch your trades and keep you making sideways moves endlessly. So you really cannot afford to have any deadwood down here, both as far as cash generation goes and also as far as your depth and being able to cover players that are only out for a week or two, round to round. Okay, let's go back over to this team. So if I was managing this team, what I'd be trying to find is where am I not getting the best value and can I get something maybe better? Bailey Haywood. Okay, so Bailey Haywood, not seeing a lot of value there. We have his PPM at like zero point 0.5. Um, he scored he scored 46 last week, but that was in a full 90 minutes of game time. And that was kind of one of his decent PPM games, kind of okay PPM games as well. He can rack up a lot of missed tackles, a lot of negative points, hence we're not projecting him strongly. We also don't think he's going to play 80 every week. Um, you know, if he does, he's just got 10 points of value in him. If he doesn't, he's coming under. So, there are better horses to pick than Bailey Haywood from what we thought. So if I'm thinking that Bailey Haywood's a player that I could move on, that I'm not seeing a lot of value in, then yeah, I can pick up any player that has like 160k plus in them. So it'd be quite okay going from Bailey Haywood to Ryan Couchman, for example. You're certainly getting the value out of that particular trade to be making that move. Okay. Now, seeing a lot of people, let's come back over to Fantasy Lounge for a second. Let's have a look at some of the trades that are being proposed here and there. Gonna have to just scroll a little bit and see what we come across. Da, 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 da. Here's a couple. So let's have a look at these. Trading out Britain Cora, trading in Noah Martin. Yep, so if we have a look at Britain Cora, so Britain Cora, we don't see any value in. In fact, we have negative value in. The reason being is they've got three edges in Burns, Nickera, and Wilton. And at the end of last year, Nickera fell behind Burns as far as the starting edge spot goes. So the job security there isn't fantastic. And again, you need to keep in mind everything's through the perspective of the Sharks coaching staff, not as us as fans. And the reality was that Burns really got in front of Nakora last season. So definitely Nakora at best he's probably at best he might have a little bit of value. He's got a little bit of value in him, but certainly Noah Martin has um, the amount of value that you just can't afford not to take. So that's definitely a green light trade. There's nothing wrong with that trade whatsoever. Okay, Penasini to Noah Martin again. That comes up quite okay. And Penasini's out this week as well. Dylan Brown to Kalen Ponga. Yeah, there's probably value in Brown. Ponga's definitely cut price keeper territory. So, and if you want to get Ponga, you've got to have a little bit of cash in the play that you're trading out. So from that perspective, not horrible. Here's one. Jermaine McEwen to Noah Martin. So Jermaine McEwen, okay, it was put out that he probably wouldn't get the 80 minutes straight up, but he's going to be an 80-minute edge. Now, he might just play 65, 70 minutes again this week, but by round three, round four, he should be starting to be hitting 80 minutes. Most coaches don't like um, burning burning interchanges on edge second rowers, and the Knights are, I don't think that that's going to be an issue for Jermaine McEwen. He should be an 80-minute player sooner rather than later. Now, from that perspective, he has 150k value in him. So in that trade, you're trading out 150k value to chase after Noah Martin. Now, no problems with the amount of value you're getting from Noah Martin, 327k. So 327k less than 150, it's still over 150. But why throw that 150k away? There would probably be there would probably be better better candidates of a trade out for Noah Martin in this team than Jermaine McEwen. What have we got here? I wrote a Ponga, not a drama. Deep to Martin, yeah. Look, I'm fine with that because Robinson is really doing what Robinson often does and just completely stuffing around with his forwards and his rotations. And that just looks like a hot mess. So, no problems with that at all. Casey McLean to Sam McIntyre. This reeks of just point chasing. Why would you be going to Sam McIntyre? Now, Sam McIntyre scored 55 last round. He was starting on an edge. Our stats will come up a little bit different for him. We have different position allocations in our system that we actually allocate round by round. In case you're not aware, like our site is not a hobby site. It's not a scripted site. It is a full-time operation. We actually have stats people that do stats that we need ourselves, and there's full data processing that happens with our stats every week as well. So I'm going to pull up, uh, just going to pull up his game log here. Okay, so we have him down on the weekend as INT. Now that doesn't mean that he started on the bench. Okay, what it means was that he went through a few positions, none of which actually qualified him for a position allocation. Okay, and some of that time was out in the centres. I'm pretty sure, or out in the back somewhere. Okay, um, so he scored 55. You know, is that just a point chasing move? Well, let's have a look at him from an analytics perspective and get a bit of a fuller picture. So if we have a look at his 24 and 25, now if you're not looking at players from a stats perspective, you're going to be constantly making bad moves in fantasy. So if we look at his 24-25 season, you'll see that Sam McIntyre's a bit of a Swiss Army knife. He gets used all through the forwards and can also get shuffled out to centre when required as well. Okay. If we have a look at his overall averages the last two seasons, it comes out like 32 and 36. Okay. So 36 last year, getting about 52 minutes a game. Okay. He does get a lot of game time. There's not a whole lot of try noise in that we need to worry about, but he does get shuffled around positions a lot. So Sam McIntyre is absolutely just chasing last week's points. And, you can pay for last week's points, but you can't get them. Okay. He's not going to be producing that every week. That's not a move. That's not a move that you probably want to be making, I would say, on that one. Okay. Now, I'm going to come back over to, just want to try and find a really weak, really, for want of a better word, a real newbie team. So I'm going to go back to our team analysis page. Okay. I'm just going to type in lots of teams use Haas in their name. And can I get something worse? Um, Sexual fantasies. See what this looks like. Yeah, this is the hot mess that I'm looking for. Okay, let's put this team under the microscope. Sexual fantasies. Uh, sorry, I've got bad eyes. Over 50 now, and eyes are not what they used to be. Okay, so having a look through this team, we've got Macassini down the bottom, Cooper By, Jack Hetherington, Owen Paddy. Okay. Blake Brayley, Nafahu White, Haas, Mooney, Lukey, Verma, Atkinson, Walker, Carraz, Campbell Graham, Tom Chester, Turbo, Keeney, Haywood, Stefano, Sanders, McEwen. The team's really lacking in value. There's a lot of money being spent around cost. and there's a lot of really strong value opportunities being missed. So if we pull this up under our best buys, let's see what that looks like. Okay, look at all this orange and red, okay, all that lack of value. Bailey Haywood, poor value. Nafahu White, poor value. Keanu Keeney, poor value. Carraz, look, I don't mind that. It's a keeper centre, and he could have some upside, but both firm are poor value. Blake Brayley, poor value. Okay. Then down the bottom, Cooper Buy. Like, we have him projecting at the moment, averaging like 14. So he's actually going to lose value and end up down at 230K if his minutes keep the way they are. Owen Paddy, like he's not even if he was there, he'd have the 20 minute a week gig, and that does nothing for you in fantasy. So that's two roster spots that are really just being that's burnt completely, not offering you any depth, not offering you any money. Cheaper buy is 25% of your outside of 17 revenue generation just down the toilet. Something would happen to have, there'd need to be a few injuries in that forward pack for Cooper Buy to be getting relevant minutes at the moment. Then Firma, you know, you could be spending, you could be buying those same 53 points, or close to it for 300K with the value edge forwards that are around at the moment. Okay. So if your team looks like this, then yeah, the two on the chopping block this week would have to be Paddy and Buy, especially if you had just a little bit of coin, enough coin to actually upgrade them to the likes of Noah Martin and Chan, for example. Okay. Okay, so I think I want to leave it there for this episode. So the big takeaways are you need to have an idea, a really solid idea of how much potential profit there is in the players you've got, okay, and how much potential profit there is in the players you're looking at. Okay. You can't successfully buy and trade anything if you don't have a really good barometer of what products are worth. Okay, so that's really essential. From there, you want to be making sure that any trade moves you make, for the most part, you're getting 150K more revenue generation back after the trade. That includes if you're trading value out. If I'm trading out 70,000 in value, then I need to be getting back in 220K in value, okay, to be hitting that 150 sweet spot. Be happy with 130. So you need to be getting 200K back just to be hitting that 130K value. Okay. Now, the other thing, um, if you're not doing that, then you're really in what we call sideways trading country, where you're making trades, but you're not really getting any real solid, significant meaning or value out of the trade. Out of the trade, you need to be making sure that you don't have irrelevant players in your squad. Okay, New South Wales and Queensland Cup players do nothing for you. Fringe forwards getting not enough minutes to be able to score a good 10 to 15 points above what they're priced at. Don't do anything for you. You need to have a good idea of how to work out what players are priced at. Um, our site's fantastic because we do all this for you. You can always come to your own conclusions on players, and the information that our site gives you makes it very easy for you to do that as well. But we break it all down and we make it easy for you to know what players are priced at, what we're projecting them to score, what we're projecting them to have in terms of value in them. Okay, so they're the things to think about. No wasted spots on your roster. Make sure that you understand any value you're trading out and any value you're trading in, making sure that you're getting at least 130k better value for using the trade. If you're doing those things, you're going to be making pretty decent moves. If you're not doing those things, you're going to be burning trades for um, very little reward, or even in situations taking teams backwards. Okay. Thanks for your time. I hope this has helped you out on your fantasy journey, and we'll be back again over the next week or so with some more stuff that you really need to know to keep progressing in your fantasy adventure. Thank you.